So if you're someone that struggles to get ahead, I'm going to show you how to get ahead of the 99% of people right now. Look, I've built over 28 different companies and brands over the last 17 years with hundreds of millions of dollars of sales, but it wasn't until I understood this one concept that my life and also my business has changed forever. Frequency outweighs effort. You don't have an education problem, you have an application problem. So today, everyone has access to information at their fingertips. Literally, you can learn anything you want for free on YouTube. So knowledge isn't the problem. It's the application of the knowledge that's the problem. It's your ability to master yourself where all the value is to be had. Because you probably can't even keep the promises that you make to yourself. You say you're gonna lose extra weight and stop drinking, start that business, or even post that piece of content, but then you never do. And then the question we have to ask ourselves is, why can't we keep those promises we make to ourselves? Why can't we have the confidence to post that piece of content or start that new business? It's because we fail to master ourselves. We're so fixated on the how to lose the extra weight, how to make more money, that you neglect the who. And I was there. I used to over-educate myself on every single topic, thinking that was the answer to all my problems. But in reality, what I've come to learn is that we all have these vices in our life that are consuming and taking our energy, inspiration, confidence all away from us, like the processed food, the alcohol, the drugs, Netflix, porn. Instead of spending energy slaying the dragons that will actually improve the quality of our lives, we spend it slaying these meaningless vices. And then we fall victim to these vices that puts us in a low frequency state. And this begins to detract the things in our life. We lose motivation and discipline and drive. So if you take one step forward, you end up taking 2 steps back. You begin to stack losses every day instead of those wins, and you lose momentum, which is extremely important because momentum alone can take an average, ordinary person and make them superhuman. Now you see it in sports teams all the time. The teams that get to the final are not necessarily the best teams, but they have the most momentum behind them. Then as a byproduct of this, you don't keep the promises you make to yourself. You begin to have low confidence. And a low confidence person starts to create these limiting beliefs as to what is truly possible. A low confidence person starts to make poor decisions, which impacts the quality of their lives. And then you set these low expectations on yourself and then you meet them. You don't actually see what is capable because you're operating at this low frequency state. You start to accept average as the standard, when in fact it should be the enemy. Now, when I look back, I can point my success down to one thing. It's correlated to how much self-mastery I had at the time. Like I would see these peaks and troughs in my success. It was like this invisible vortex where I would remove the vices, stick to my daily habits, and my business would just grow. And then sometimes, like I wouldn't even understand why or how. Then I would do the opposite. I'd start partying or eating like shit, missing those training sessions, and the businesses would just do worse. This is when I first started to realize this concept of frequency outweighing effort. And Dr. David Hawkins famously created this vibrational chart, as you can see on the screen. You can see the emotions that are directly correlated with different levels of consciousness. You can literally look at this chart and then match how you feel based on the different actions that you take. And then when you see you taking these different actions, the different frequencies in which you operate in. And when you do things that go against your conscious, like eating food or skipping that train session, then partying, you get these emotions like guilt and shame, which is the opposite of self-love. These bring your frequency down and detract from your success, while the opposite is true. When you're able to continually do these things and not only put yourself into a high frequency state, waking up early, eating clean foods, work on the tasks that are meaningful and purposeful to you, you begin to vibrate at that higher frequency. And now we've all been there. We've all been there when we've crushed our workout or we've had momentum in our life and had a big win. We feel confident and visible. And that's what it's like to operate at a high frequency level. You start to believe in yourself more because you're unlocking a different version of yourself. And it's important to note that you should only judge yourself when you're in this state, when you're vibrating at a high frequency state, and not judge yourself when you're in a low frequency state, because this isn't a true representation of what you are capable of. And this is one of the pitfalls that a lot of people fall into. Now, once I really became aware of this, I started viewing the world in energy, vibration, and frequency. I started to take what I'm calling now reverse gap year. And that's when it all changed for me. Now, the reason why I started this reverse gap year was to truly understand what I was sacrificing, because I think many of us never reach our full potential because we prioritize the short-term pleasures over the long-term purpose. We often hear advice like, live your life, have some fun, but what does fun actually mean? It normally revolves around going out, partying, traveling. While these activities can be enjoyable, we need to ask ourselves an important question. What percentage of our potential are we willing to sacrifice for these experiences? And then more importantly, how do we even know that we won't find more fulfillment in pursuing goals that unlock our true potential? You need to see both sides of the coin in order to make an accurate decision as to how you want to live your life. because we do live a zero-sum game. And I said I would say no to everything else and just align with my goals for that 1 year. I was going to live in total alignment with my conscience was telling me to do. I'm going to attempt to operate a high frequency state for as long as possible. I stopped drinking. I didn't miss a workout. I stopped having cheat meals. I woke up every morning at 5 a.m. And then that's when it happened. All of a sudden I entered this success vortex where I was just attracting things into my life at a quicker rate that I'd never really experienced before. Because there is an element of the law of attraction that people don't really talk about, and that's the time factor. The more time you spend believing in your vision, the quicker you will attract it. And because I had so much momentum from all the positive habits and removing all the negative habits, I was constantly in this self-perpetual belief that my vision will come true. And in such a short amount of time, I grew one of our brands from $20 to $45 million in revenue. I built my dream body, getting down to 7% body fat. I started my personal brand, which I was neglecting for the last 7 years. And I did this because I felt so much more confident in who I was and what I could achieve. I also became a lot more aware of certain blind spots that I had, because when you have these vices, a lot of your energy goes towards them. And it's not available to see the depths of yourself in order to truly be your best self. And when I look back now, I see all the poor decisions that I made and why I never built the $100 million company sooner, or why I never built that dream body sooner, or launched that personal brand sooner. It's because it was almost impossible to make these correct decisions that are in alignment with my 10.0 self when I wasn't operating from it. So then there's a question: how do we know what's a part of our 10.0 self and what should we remove? Now, there's this mental model that I use, and this is the question that you need to ask yourself. What do you want to want? Because we are a set of programs and beliefs that have been installed in our minds. Now, we've done this intentionally or not. And we have the opportunity to install the new programs and override the old ones that don't serve us. And this is what the reverse gap year allows you to do. And I first noticed this concept through food. I had this addiction where I would eat 10 to 12 ice creams in one sitting. And I thought nothing could replace the feeling that the ice creams gave me. But then I thought, what if I could enjoy healthy alternatives just as much? What if I could reprogram my mind and body to want things like berries, fruit, and yogurt and honey instead? What if I could get the same satisfaction that I did once from ice cream? And it is possible. You just need to sustain from the toxic elements long enough so that your brain and body gets the dopamine hit from the good sources and not the bad. And now I enjoy these sources far more than I enjoyed ice cream. Now my mind and body propel me towards these choices that give me energy and purpose. And I feel like I'm kind of finally free. And this was happening with work. I would no longer have the urge to go out and party. Instead, I couldn't wait to wake up and work on my business and myself. So by experiencing this polar opposite lifestyle, I gained a lot of clear understanding what I was giving up. There was a new reference point that was created that allowed me to have a more accurate decision on how I want to live my life. And because until you actually activate your full potential, you don't really know what's on the other side. The growth and the fulfillment that you achieved far outweighs the partying and the traveling I was doing before by a factor of 10. And I just wish I did it 10 years earlier. But this is what I want you to experience. I want you to see what it's like to operate from your higher self, how fun and rewarding that is, that you can actually make an accurate decision on your life as to what fun really means for you. So how can you actually do this? Well, you need to ask yourself some hard questions, because self-mastery begins with self-honesty. You need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do you really want? What do you want to acquire that you admire? Because as time is passing and before you know it, you're gonna look back at yourself and think, was it really worth it? The drinking, the staying up late, the partying, only to find yourself without the relationship that you desire, the business that you dreamt of building, the house that you want to live in, the car that you aspire to drive. This is like a form of slow suicide, in my opinion. And when I coach people, I want to make a system that's as simple as possible, because you don't raise the level of your goals, you always fall to the level of your standards. So how do you break this cycle and get ahead of the 99% of people? The quickest way to turn your life around is to establish a set of daily non-negotiables, standards for your life that you commit to without fail. Simple as an early wake up, you work out every day, eat clean whole foods, you read 10 pages of a personal development book, and you remove all the vices. Now, consistency is the key. Never miss, because the commitments you make to yourself, once you start living by these standards, you'll notice this shift and you'll begin to find validation in the work and not just the outcome. And as you progress through this personal development journey, you start to rewire narratives about yourself and your identity and the person you are and what you're capable of. And the path forward becomes also clearer to you, because each step you take towards self-mastery, you become more confident in the person that you want to become. So now I want you to consider a version of yourself for a second with this unshakable confidence, like the ability to achieve your goals, momentum, and progress that really makes you proud and love yourself. Success in relationships, career, personal aspirations, it all. And also the means to give back to the people around you. Because this version isn't just a dream, like it's a possibility waiting to be realized. It's within all of us. It's just that we have to activate it. You have to stick to these daily non-negotiables and just remove all the vices. And I promise you, you'll stay ahead of the 99% of people out there. We all have the ability to evolve from these impulsive, reactive beings to self-actualized individuals. But the time to start is now. Like, you can't wait for the perfect moment, or let's wait till the new year or after that party, because there's always going to be something. You need to begin today to unlock your 10% self and the life that you always dreamt of. And remember, every single day that you delay is another day of potential unfulfilled. There is so much more to this self-mastery that I haven't even touched on, but I'll save it for next time. And just make sure you subscribe to these videos and get notified when they come out. Thanks for watching.